Just trying to help you relax, sis, Emma smirked, leaning against the hospital doorway. You're always so wound up with your anxiety. I thought mixing in some sleeping pills would help you chill out. My name is Sophie Walker, and I was lying in the ICU after what the doctors initially thought was an accidental overdose. The toxicology report in my hand told a different story. You could have killed me, I whispered, my voice still weak from having my stomach pumped. The words on the report blurred as tears filled my eyes. Traces of prescription sleep medication found mixed with my regular anxiety medication. Don't be so dramatic. Emma rolled her eyes. I only put a few pills in. Besides, you're fine now, aren't you? Fine. I collapsed during an important presentation at work in front of my entire team and our biggest client. My heart had nearly stopped. The paramedics said 5 more minutes and I wouldn't have made it. But to Emma, that was fine. Our father appeared behind her, his face ashen as he read the report over my shoulder. Emma, what have you done? Dad, please, she scoffed. Sophie's always complaining about her anxiety. I was just trying to be a good sister. You know how important family is to you. Family. That word had become a weapon since my father married Emma's mother 3 years ago. Every manipulation, every accident, every cruel prank was excused because we were family. The monitor beside my bed beeped as my heart rate increased. Dr. Torres stepped into the room, her expression grim as she took in the scene. Mr. Walker, we need to discuss the toxicology results, she said firmly. The combination of medications found in your daughter's system wasn't accidental. Someone deliberately tampered with her prescription. Emma's smirk faltered slightly. It was just a few sleeping pills. Sophie's always so stressed about everything. I thought. You thought wrong, Dr. Torres cut her off. Mixing sleeping medication with anxiety medication could have caused respiratory failure. Ms. Walker could have died. My father sank into the chair beside my bed, the report trembling in his hands. For 3 years, he dismissed my concerns about Emma's behavior. She's just trying to bond, he'd say. Give her a chance. The chances had started small. Emma accidentally deleting important files from my laptop. Emma mistakenly spilling coffee on my work documents. Emma helpfully rescheduling my appointments without telling me. But this was different. This was calculated. The police will want to speak with you, Dr. Torres continued, checking my vitals. Tampering with prescription medication is a serious crime. Police? Emma's voice rose an octave. Daddy, you can't let them involve the police. I was just trying to help. For the first time, I saw real fear in her eyes. Not concern for my well-being, but fear for herself. The perfect stepdaughter facade was cracking. You could have killed your sister, my father said quietly, still staring at the report. Stepsister. Emma corrected automatically, then seemed to realize her mistake as our father's head snapped up. The silence in the room was deafening. 3 years of Emma playing the devoted daughter, and in one moment of panic, she'd revealed her true feelings. I think, my father said slowly, you should wait outside while I speak with the doctor. But Daddy. Now Emma. As she stormed out, I caught a glimpse of something dark in her expression. The same look I'd seen countless times before when things didn't go her way. But this time, there was no hiding behind family loyalty. The toxicology report told a story that no amount of manipulation could change. Dr. Torres began explaining the details of what they'd found in my system, but my mind was already racing ahead. For the first time since my father's marriage, I had concrete proof of Emma's malice. The question was, what would I do with it? The police interview took place the next morning. Detective Sarah Martinez sat beside my hospital bed, her notebook open as I recounted 3 years of escalating incidents. Miss Walker, she interrupted gently, why didn't you report any of these previous incidents? I glanced at my father, who stood by the window looking years older than he had just days ago. They seemed minor in comparison, and Emma always had an excuse. She was just trying to help, or it was just a misunderstanding. And your father? Detective Martinez asked, noting my glance. He wanted us to be a family, I said quietly. After Mom died, he was so desperate for that perfect family dynamic again. Emma and her mother seemed to provide that. The detective nodded, reviewing her notes. And this incident with your medication. I keep my anxiety medication in my bathroom cabinet. Last week, I noticed the pills looked slightly different, but I thought maybe the pharmacy had changed manufacturers. It's happened before. You should have told me, my father interjected, his voice rough with emotion. Would you have believed me? I asked, meeting his eyes. You didn't believe me about the deleted presentation files, or the misplaced client contracts, or the mysterious cancellations of my therapy appointments. His silence was answer enough. Detective Martinez cleared her throat. We've obtained security footage from your apartment building showing Emma entering your unit last Tuesday evening when you were at your late meeting. This was news to me. She has a key. Your stepmother provided it to her, my father admitted, for emergencies. Well, Detective Martinez continued, the footage shows her entering at 7:43 p.m. and leaving at 7:51 p.m. The pharmacy confirmed your prescription was filled that morning. Timeline fits with when you started noticing the different pills. A knock at the door interrupted us. Dr. Torres entered with another report. We've completed the full analysis, she announced. The sleeping medication mixed into your prescription was a powerful sedative, far stronger than over-the-counter sleep aids. We're trying to trace where it came from. I can help with that, my father said quietly. Carol, Emma's mother, has a prescription for sleeping pills. She's had trouble sleeping since her first husband died. Detective Martinez made a note. We'll need to speak with Mrs. Walker about securing her medication. Ex-Mrs. Walker, my father corrected. The divorce papers were filed this morning. I stared at him in shock. He'd been so in love with Carol, so convinced that she and Emma were the answer to his loneliness after Mom died. Sophie, he continued, moving to my bedside, I've been a fool. I was so focused on building this new perfect family that I couldn't see what was happening to the family I already had. Before I could respond, commotion erupted in the hallway. Emma's voice rang out, shrill and angry. You can't do this. I live here. That's my sister's room. Carol's voice followed, trying to calm her daughter. Emma, please, we need to leave. The restraining order. Restraining order? Emma appeared in my doorway, her face flushed with rage. You filed a restraining order against me? Your own sister. Stepsister. I echoed her words from yesterday. Remember? Detective Martinez stood, positioning herself between Emma and my bed. Miss Reynolds, you were informed not to approach this floor. We can add violation of a restraining order to the existing charges. Charges? Emma's voice rose higher. Daddy, tell them I was helping. Sophie's always been jealous of me, always trying to make me look bad. 6 months after the incident, I sat in the courthouse, watching Emma plead guilty to charges of aggravated assault and medication tampering. The attempted murder charge had been reduced as part of a plea deal that included mandatory psychiatric evaluation and treatment. The defendant will serve 3 years in state prison, the judge announced, followed by 5 years of supervised probation. Emma stood emotionless, a far cry from the perfectly poised stepdaughter she once pretended to be. Her mother, Carol, sat in the back row, dabbing at her eyes with a tissue. The divorce from my father had been finalized 2 months ago. As we left the courthouse, reporters approached us. Emma's case had gained attention, highlighting the often overlooked dangers of prescription medication tampering. My father stepped in front of me, shielding me from their cameras. My daughter needs privacy to heal, he said firmly. We have no comment. Healing had been a complex journey. Physical recovery was straightforward. The doctors had caught the medication interaction in time. The emotional healing, however, was ongoing. I'd started seeing a new therapist, Dr. Reynolds, who specialized in family trauma. During one session, she helped me understand something crucial. Your anxiety wasn't the problem, she'd said. It was Emma's excuse. People like her often target what they perceive as weakness, but really they're revealing their own insecurities. Those words stayed with me as I watched Emma being led away in handcuffs. How many times had she used my anxiety against me, making me doubt my own perceptions? Back home, my father had made changes too. He'd installed a state-of-the-art security system in both our apartments. My medication was now kept in a biometric safe. Some might call it paranoid, but we learned the hard way about trust. I got rid of the guest room furniture, he told me over dinner that evening. Carol's been asking to collect it, but I think it's better to make a clean break. I nodded, understanding the symbolism. That furniture represented his failed attempt at building a new family at the expense of the one he had. I found something while clearing it out, he continued, pulling out a familiar photo album. Remember these? The album contained pictures from before Mom died, before Carol and Emma entered our lives. Pictures of family camping trips, birthday parties, simple moments of genuine happiness. We were enough, he said softly, touching a photo of Mom. I forgot that in my rush to replace what we'd lost. I'm sorry, Sophie. We're still enough, Dad, I replied, reaching for his hand across the table. My recovery became about more than just healing from the medication incident. I started speaking at support groups for people who'd experienced family betrayal. My story resonated with others who'd faced similar manipulation. Emma wrote me a letter from prison, part of her mandatory therapy program. It was full of excuses thinly disguised as apologies. I never meant to hurt you, she wrote. I just wanted Dad to see me as the better daughter. I didn't respond. Some relationships aren't meant to be salvaged. Work became a sanctuary. My team, who had witnessed my collapse during that presentation, welcomed me back with unprecedented support. The client, impressed by how our company handled the crisis, signed a long-term contract. You know, my boss said during my first week back, that presentation you were giving before, everything? The client wants to see it, when you're ready. I was ready, more than ready. Emma had tried to silence me, to make me disappear, but she'd only made me stronger. 1 year after the incident, I stood in front of that same client, delivering the presentation that had been interrupted by my collapse. My hands were steady, my voice clear. Yes, I still had anxiety, but I no longer saw it as a weakness to be exploited. My father sat in the back of the conference room, beaming with pride. We'd been through hell, but we'd emerged stronger, wiser, and more appreciative of the family we had, just the two of us. That evening, as we shared dinner at our favorite restaurant, my father raised his glass. To survival, he said, and to never letting anyone tamper with our lives again. I raised my glass, adding, to real family, the kind that protects instead of poisons. The toxicology report that had exposed Emma's true nature now sat in a file somewhere in the police archives. But its impact lived on in the lessons we learned about trust, family, and the strength it takes to rebuild after betrayal. Sometimes the most toxic people come disguised as family, but real family, true family, helps you heal, not hurt. Emma had tried to break me, but she'd only succeeded in breaking the illusion of her perfect stepdaughter facade. And in its place, my father and I had built something stronger, truth. Enough. My father's voice cracked like thunder. You nearly killed your sister. The security footage, the toxicology reports, your own admission. It's over, Emma. No more excuses. Emma's face contorted, the mask of perfect stepdaughter finally shattering completely. Fine, she's always been in the way anyway. Ever since Mom and I moved in, it's been poor Sophie this and be careful of Sophie's anxiety that. I just wanted her to disappear for a while. Well, Detective Martinez said calmly, you may get your wish. Attempted murder charges typically involve disappearing for quite a while, into a prison cell. As security arrived to escort Emma and Carol from the floor, I watched my father sink back into his chair, his head in his hands. The perfect family he tried so hard to build had been a facade, and it had nearly cost him the daughter he already had. The detective gathered her notes, promising to return for a formal statement once I was stronger. As she left, Dr. Torres adjusted my medication drip, my real, untampered medication. Dad, I said softly, reaching for his hand. It's not your fault. He looked up, his eyes wet. I should have seen it. Should have believed you. Your mother would be so disappointed in me. Mom would want us to heal, I replied. Both of us. He squeezed my hand, and for the first time in 3 years, I felt like I had my father back. Sometimes it takes nearly losing everything to see what was worth saving all along. It was a sunny afternoon in New York City, the kind of day when the hustle of the streets felt like background noise to the real chaos in Emily Parker's life. At 25, Emily was trying to make a name for herself as an artist in the concrete jungle. But her journey to get there had been anything but simple. Growing up, Emily thought she had it all. Her father, Thomas Parker, was a high-powered businessman with a heart of gold. They lived in a sprawling mansion on the Upper East Side, and Emily spent hours in the garden painting while her dad cheered her on. You've got a real talent, Em, he would say, ruffling her hair with a smile. One day, you'll have your own gallery. Those were simpler times, before her world shifted in a way she could have never imagined. It all started when Vanessa came into their lives. Vanessa was a struggling actress with big dreams and even bigger hair. She swooped in, captivating Emily's father with her charm and dazzling smile. Thomas, darling, you simply must come to my show tonight, she'd say, batting her eyelashes. Before long, they were married in what felt like a whirlwind romance straight out of a cliché movie. Emily, only 8 at the time, could sense something off about it all, even if she couldn't put her finger on it. Then came Victor, her new stepfather, a smooth-talking businessman who always seemed to be hiding something behind his polished exterior. From the moment they met, Emily's instincts told her something wasn't right. "Emily, sweetie, come give your new daddy a hug," he'd say with his arms wide open. She cringed at the thought, preferring to hug the cactus instead. As the months passed, life began to unravel. Her father, once so full of life, started getting sick. At first, it was little things, headaches, dizzy spells, but his condition steadily worsened. Meanwhile, Vanessa was more focused on her auditions than anything happening at home. "Vanessa, I need you," her dad would plead weakly. "Oh, Thomas, you know how important this role is to me," Vanessa would reply, not even bothering to look up from her script. Emily's 10th birthday was the day everything came crashing down. They were all gathered in the dining room, a large cake in front of her, candles lit. She had just blown them out when she heard a thud. Her father collapsed to the floor, pale as a ghost. "Daddy," she screamed, rushing to his side. Victor called for an ambulance, while Vanessa stood frozen in shock. As they wheeled her father away, Emily caught a glimpse of something unsettling, Victor smirking. That was when Emily knew something was terribly wrong, but it was only the beginning of the nightmare. 2 years passed. Emily was now 12, but the years had aged her far beyond her actual age. The once grand mansion felt like a prison, and she learned to tiptoe through life, listening at doors, watching, waiting. One night, she overheard an argument between Victor and her mother, their voices muffled through the crack of the study door. "Are you insane? We can't keep this up forever," Vanessa hissed. "Relax, darling. Everything's going according to plan," Victor replied smoothly. "But the doctors are getting suspicious. What if they figure it out?" "They won't. The poison is untraceable, and your dear husband doesn't have much time left." Emily's blood turned to ice. Poison? A plan? Her head spun as she tried to make sense of it. "And what about Emily?" Vanessa asked. "Leave the brat to me. Once Thomas is gone, we'll ship her off somewhere. Military school, perhaps." Panic gripped her, and she fled, barely making it back to her room before footsteps echoed up the stairs. The next morning, she tried to tell her dad. "Daddy, I heard something last night about Victor and Mom." But before she could finish, Victor strolled in. "Oh, Emily, not this again," he said smoothly. "Thomas, the poor girl has been having such terrible nightmares. Perhaps we should consider therapy." Her father looked at her with pity. "Is that true, sweetie? Are you having bad dreams?" Emily wanted to scream, to tell her father everything, but the words got stuck in her throat. Victor's cold eyes locked onto hers, a silent threat. From that day on, it was like living in a nightmare she couldn't escape. Every time she tried to speak up, Victor was there, twisting her words, making her seem unhinged. "Did you hear that, Vanessa? Now she thinks we're poisoning her food." Victor would laugh, casting a sideways glance at Emily. Such an active imagination. Her father's health continued to decline, and the doctors were baffled. Test after test, they found nothing. But Emily knew the truth. She just couldn't prove it. Then came the day I had been dreading. I awoke to the sound of my mother's wails echoing through the house. My dad was gone. The funeral passed in a blur of black suits and hollow words. People patted my head, whispered how brave I was, how strong. But I wasn't brave. I was a coward. I had failed to save him. A week later, we gathered for the reading of the will. I sat there, my stomach in knots as the lawyer's monotone voice droned on. And then, like a hammer to the chest, I heard it. "To my beloved wife Vanessa and her husband Victor, I leave the entirety of my estate." I blinked, stunned. He had left everything to them. Not a penny for me. It felt like a final betrayal from beyond the grave. That night, I couldn't hold back any longer. I confronted my mother. "How could you let this happen? Don't you see what Victor's done?" "Oh, Emily, enough with these wild accusations. Victor has been nothing but good to us." "Good?" I spat. "He killed Dad, and you helped him." The slap came out of nowhere. My cheeks stung with the force of it. She had never hit me before. Her voice was sharp, cutting through the silence. "I've had enough of your lies, you ungrateful little brat. Do you know what I've sacrificed for you?" "Sacrificed?" I shouted. "You've done nothing but chase your stupid dreams while Dad was dying." Her eyes turned cold. Well, you won't have to worry about my stupid dreams anymore. I've made arrangements. You're leaving tomorrow. Leaving? What are you talking about? My voice cracked. There's a lovely orphanage upstate. They've agreed to take you in. I stood frozen, disbelief washing over me. You're sending me away? Your own daughter? It's for the best, Emily. Victor and we need to focus on our careers now. We can't have you spreading these vicious rumors. She turned to leave, but something inside me snapped. You'll regret this, I hissed, my voice trembling with fury. Both of you. I swear I'll make you pay for what you've done. She paused at the door, not bothering to turn around. Goodbye, Emily. As I lay in bed that night, tears streaming down my face, I made a vow. I would survive this. I would grow stronger. And one day, I'd come back to show them exactly what happens when you mess with Emily Parker. 6 years in that orphanage felt like a lifetime. On my 18th birthday, I walked out the gates with nothing but a backpack and a fire burning in my gut. New York City was waiting, and I was ready to take it on. Good luck out there, Emily. Mrs. Thompson, the old caretaker, called after me. Remember, you can always come back if things get tough. I didn't even glance back. Thanks, but I'm never coming back. This place is history. The first few months were brutal. I bounced between shelters, took any odd job I could find. Waiting tables, walking dogs, even cleaning toilets, just to keep a roof over my head. One day, I was sketching in Central Park, my stomach growling, when a girl plopped down next to me. Wow, that's really good. You an artist? She asked, her smile warm and friendly. I looked up, cautious, trying to be. Why? She grinned, extending her hand. I'm Sarah, law student and art enthusiast. You look like you could use a friend. That was the day things started to change. Sarah became my first real friend. She'd bring me leftover food from her campus cafeteria and let me crash on her couch when I had nowhere to go. Emily, you've got serious talent, she said one day, flipping through my sketches. You should try selling these. So I did. I set up a small stand in the park and started selling my art to tourists. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Then came the day that changed everything. I was doodling in a coffee shop when a man sat down across from me, eyeing my work. You've got a good eye for detail. Ever thought about journalism? He asked, sliding a business card across the table. I snorted. Yeah, right, I'm just a starving artist. Jake Morrison, he said, editor at the Daily Chronicle. We could use someone with your observational skills. Interested in an internship? That internship opened up a whole new world. I discovered I had a knack for digging up stories, for piecing together details others overlooked. Suddenly, I had a new plan, a plan for revenge. Emily, you're becoming obsessed, Sarah warned one night, watching me pore over old newspaper clippings. I'm not obsessed, I shot back. I'm focused. Victor and Vanessa ruined my life. Now it's my turn. For years, I gathered evidence, built my network, bided my time. Every story I wrote, every contact I made brought me closer to my goal. And then, finally, a breakthrough. A tip about a massive corporate fraud scheme. As I dug deeper, one name kept surfacing. Victor Reeves. Holy hell, Emily, Jake said, looking over my notes. This could bring down half of Wall Street. You sure you want to pursue this? I nodded, my heart racing. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. But as the pieces began falling into place, doubt crept in. I was building a career. As I sat in my tiny apartment, my eyes flicked between the mountain of evidence on my desk and the blinking cursor on my screen. The story was ready, the facts laid out. Just one click away from launching my exposé. My finger hovered over the send button, but I hesitated. Did I really want to risk it all? Everything I'd built, all I could be proud of, just for revenge. Sarah's words echoed in my head. Don't let them win by letting hate consume you. I stared at the evidence, the fraud, the deception, the trail of lives destroyed by Victor Reeves. But as I thought about my future, about who I was now, and who I could be, the weight of my decision settled in. This was it. The past and future collided in that moment, and I had to choose. The series of articles hit like a bombshell. Corporate fraud exposed. $1 billion scam that shook Wall Street to its core. Suddenly, my name was everywhere. My phone rang nonstop. Interview requests flooded in. Emily Parker, the journalist who broke the biggest financial scandal of the decade. But I wasn't done, not by a long shot. As the feds began to circle Victor, I made an anonymous call. I have information about Victor Reeves. It's not just fraud. We're talking murder. The raid was surreal. I stood across the street, my hood pulled low, as federal agents stormed the mansion I once called home. Inside, Victor and Vanessa were hosting one of their lavish charity galas. The irony didn't escape me. FBI. Everyone stay where you are. I watched from the shadows as they cuffed Victor. His face, twisted in disbelief and fury, was a far cry from the menacing figure of my nightmares. He looked old, desperate. This is ridiculous. Do you know who I am? I'll have your badges for this. Vanessa stumbled out behind him, a shell of the glamorous woman she used to be, her life now fueled by pills and alcohol. Victor, what's happening? Make them stop, she slurred, clinging to him as the agents separated them. Then, her bleary eyes landed on me. For a brief moment, recognition flickered. Emily? Emily, please help me. I'm your mother, she pleaded, her voice weak and broken. I didn't move. I just stood there, silent, as they shoved her into the car. The door slammed shut, and with it, the final chapter of my old life. The trial was a media frenzy. I declined to testify. There was no need. The evidence spoke for itself. Victor was sentenced to life without parole. Vanessa 20 years for being his accomplice. After the sentencing, Sarah found me at Dad's grave. You okay? She asked quietly. I nodded, tracing the letters of my father's name etched into the stone. Yeah, I whispered. I think I finally am. The art show that followed was my way of closing the door on that dark chapter. Every painting told a story of loss, of betrayal, of survival, and ultimately of triumph. As I stood in the gallery, surrounded by my work, I felt lighter than I had in years. The weight of the past had finally lifted from my shoulders. Emily, congratulations. Jake's voice broke through the crowd. He grinned, waving a newspaper. The New York Times wants to do a feature on you. Rising star in journalism and art. You're going to be a household name, kid. I smiled, but my eyes were drawn to a painting in the corner. It was a phoenix, rising from the ashes with the New York skyline in the background. Thanks, Jake, I said softly, but I think I'm done with journalism. For a while, anyway. I've got some traveling to do, some living to catch up on. As the last guest filtered out of the gallery, I found myself standing alone, staring at the phoenix painting. The girl who had entered that orphanage all those years ago was gone. In her place stood a woman who had faced her demons and emerged stronger. I raised my glass to the painting and whispered, "Here's to new beginnings, Dad. I think you'd be proud." Emily Parker's journey from betrayal to triumph had finally come to an end. But now, I have a question for you. If you were in Emily's shoes, would you have exposed Victor and Vanessa, knowing it might jeopardize your rising career? Or would you have left the past behind to focus on your success? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Hey there, I'm Emily Parker, your friendly neighborhood software engineer from the Chicago suburbs. I'm lounging in my cozy apartment, sipping on coffee and aimlessly scrolling through my phone when it buzzes. It's my mom, Linda. Hey, sweetie, have you heard the big news? I roll my eyes. What news, Mom? Your brother Jason is engaged. Isn't it wonderful? I nearly spit out my coffee. Wait, what? Jason. Engaged? Yes, to that lovely girl, Megan. He's been seeing. Uh-oh, Emily, we're so excited. Let me fill you in on Jason. At 25, he's still living the post-college life, minus the actual college part. Sure, he's got a marketing job, but his real talent is blowing money he doesn't have and charming his way out of the consequences. Naturally, I call my best friend Sophia. Soph, you are not going to believe this. Jason's engaged. No way? To that Instagram girl? Yep, Megan, the influencer herself. Oh boy, this should be interesting. How do you feel about it? I sigh. Honestly, I'm worried. Jason isn't exactly Mr. Responsible. Later that day, I'm at work, trying to focus when my coworker Michael notices me zooming out. Emily, you've been staring at that code for, 10 minutes. You good? I spill the beans about Jason's engagement. Michael listens and then shrugs. Maybe it'll be good for him, settling down and all. I chuckle. You clearly don't know Megan. Settling down isn't in her vocabulary, unless it's followed by a mansion. That evening, I head over to my parents' house. As I pull up in my reliable old sedan, bought with my own hard-earned cash, thank you very much, I spot Jason's pride and joy, Grandpa's vintage Mustang, gleaming in the driveway. That car is practically family. Inside, it's like a wedding planning frenzy. Mom, Dad, Jason, and Megan are flipping through bridal magazines like their lives depend on it. Emily, Mom beams, come look at these venues Megan picked out. I glance at the prices and nearly choke again. Wow, can you guys afford this? Jason waves me off. Don't worry, we've got it all figured out. Yeah, Megan chimes in, flashing her massive engagement ring. It's going to be the wedding of the century. I catch my dad's eye. Dad, don't you think this is a bit much? He just smiles. Now, Emily, it's a special day. We want it to be perfect for your brother. As I drive home, a knot forms in my stomach. This perfect wedding. It's going to lead to some very imperfect problems. The next week, I stop by my parents' place again, but something's wrong. Grandpa's Mustang is gone. I feel a rush of panic as I knock on the door. Hey, where's the Mustang? I ask as Jason sheepishly steps forward. Ah, about that. My heart sinks. You didn't. Emily, weddings are expensive. We needed the cash. It feels like a punch in the gut. You sold Grandpa's car for this ridiculous wedding. Jason crosses his arms defensively. It's not ridiculous, it's our dream. It's insane. That car was part of our family. Mom and Dad come rushing in, probably hearing my raised voice. What's going on? Dad asks. I turn to them, fuming. Did you know Jason sold the Mustang? Their faces give them away. They knew. Sweetie, Mom starts cautiously. We understand this is upsetting, but what? You're okay with this? Dad steps in. Emily, your brother is starting a new life. He needs our support. I can't believe what I'm hearing. Support? This isn't support, it's enabling. Jason scoffs. Oh, here we go. Say, Emily, always so perfect. At least I'm not afraid to take risks. The argument escalates until I storm out, slamming the door behind me. Later that week, I meet Sophia for coffee. They're unbelievable. I vent. It's like Jason can do no wrong. Sophia nods sympathetically. Have you talked to Michael about this? Not yet. Why? Well, he knows people. Maybe he's heard something. Curious. That night, I call Michael. Hey, weird question. Have you heard anything about Jason? There's a pause. Actually, yeah. And it's not good? My heart skips a beat. What do you mean? Word is, he's been borrowing money, but not from banks. My blood runs cold. What are you saying? There's this guy, Victor. Real nasty piece of work. A loan shark. I feel sick. Are you sure? Pretty sure, Emily. Be careful. This guy doesn't mess around. The next day, I confront Jason at his apartment. Who's Victor? Jason's face goes pale. How do you? It doesn't matter. What are you thinking? Just then, Megan waltzes in, all smiles. Hi, Emily. We were just discussing cake flavors. What do you think about lavender vanilla? I ignore her. Jason, this is serious. You're in over your head. Megan's tone shifts, snapping at me. Mind your own business, Emily. We've got everything under control. Really? Even Jason losing his job? Jason's eyes widen in shock. Megan turns to him, her smile vanishing. Wait, what? You lost your job? The facade crumbles. Jason breaks down, admitting everything. I leave feeling hollow. At home, I call Sophia again. It's a mess, Soph, and my parents are just enabling him. What are you going to do? I sigh. I don't know, but I can't keep watching this train wreck. Good, Sophia says. It's time you stood up for yourself, Em. As I hang up, I realize she's right. It's time to stop being the perfect daughter and start looking out for myself. The wedding is coming, and with it, a storm none of us are ready for. The big day finally arrived, and I found myself lost in a sea of tulle, glitter, and extravagance. Jason and Megan's wedding was every bit the over-the-top spectacle I'd expected. I leaned over to Sophia, my plus one. Can you believe this place? I whispered. It's like a unicorn threw up in here. Shh, your mom's coming, Sophia warned. Sure enough, Mom approached, beaming with pride. Isn't it beautiful, Emily? Your brother looks so happy. I forced a smile. Yeah, Mom, it's something. As I made my way to the bar, I'd overheard Megan chatting with her bridesmaids, and he didn't even hesitate. One mention of my dream wedding, and that old car was history. A week later, my phone buzzed at 7 a.m. It was Jason. Hey, sis, I've got a favor to ask. I sighed. What now, Jason? I've got some job interviews lined up, but well, with the Mustang gone. You need a ride? I finished for him, already exasperated. Just for a week, tops, please, Em. I get it's my better judgment, I agreed. But as the week went on, something didn't sit right. Jason's so-called interviews were at odd hours and in strange locations. On day 5, curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to follow him. To my shock, I watched as Jason picked up strangers, clearly doing ride shares in my car. That night, I confronted him outside our parents' house. Job interviews, huh? Funny, I didn't realize Uber was hiring. Jason's face fell. Emily, I can explain. Save it. You've been using my car for ride shares. Are you insane? I'm trying to make money here. You should be supporting me. Supporting you? You lied to me, Jason. Our argument drew Mom and Dad outside. What's going on? Dad demanded. Your precious son has been using my car for ride shares, lying about job interviews. I snapped. Mom looked stunned. Jason, is this true? Jason put on his best innocent face. I'm just trying to provide for Megan. You understand, right? To my disbelief, Mom and Dad softened. Well, Dad began, at least he's showing initiative. I couldn't believe my ears. Are you kidding me? He lied. He's putting my car at risk. Mom tried to soothe me. Now, Emily, family helps family. Jason's going through a rough patch. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. It was my boss. Hello? Yes, I'm on my way. What? No, I'll be there, I promise. I hung up, panic setting in. I've got to go. Big presentation today. I jumped in my car, praying I'd make it in time, but halfway there, the engine made a horrible noise and smoke poured from under the hood. No, no, no. I pulled over, helpless as I watched my career go up in smoke. Literally. Hours later, I sat in a mechanic's waiting room, my missed presentation looming large in my mind. Mom and Dad walked in, looking concerned. Oh, sweetie, Mom began gently. Jason told us what happened. Are you okay? I stared at them, incredulous. Am I okay? I just missed a career-defining presentation because Jason trashed my car. Dad frowned. Now, Emily, accidents happen. Jason feels terrible. I'm sure he does, I spat. And let me guess, you're here to ask me to forgive him? Mom looked hurt. We're family, Emily. We support each other through thick and thin. I stood up, shaking with anger. Support? Where's my support? When has anyone in this family ever supported me? As I stormed out, leaving my parents stunned, I knew something had to change, and it had to start with me. After that blow up at the mechanics, I knew we needed to do something drastic. I called Jason, trying to sound like the forgiving sister. Hey, I've been thinking, maybe I can help you get a job at my company. Really? You'd do that for me? Jason asked, sounding hopeful. Of course. What's family for? I cringed internally as I said it. The next day, I met Jason at a coffee shop near my office. So, where's this interview? He asked, looking around. Oh, it's not here. Follow me, I said, leading him to a sketchy part of town. We stopped in front of a rundown building. This doesn't look like your company. It's not, Jason. Meet Victor. A burly man stepped out of the shadows. Jason's face went white. What's going on? He stammered. I pulled out my phone, hitting record. Why don't you tell Victor about your business plans? Thinking he was impressing a potential investor, Jason began to brag. Oh man, I've got it all figured out. Insurance scams, identity theft, you name it. These suckers won't know what hit them. Victor's amusement quickly turned to anger. Suckers, huh? Like me? Jason realized his mistake too late. No, wait, I didn't mean. You owe me money, punk. I want it. I slipped away, leaving Jason to face the consequences of his actions. That night, I sent the recording to everyone who needed to hear it. The next morning, all hell broke loose. My phone exploded with messages. Emily, how could you? Mom sobbed. Is this true? Dad demanded. Megan's message was brief. It's over. I ignored them all and focused on packing my bags. Sophia and Michael helped me move to a new city where I immersed myself in work. Months passed and I got promoted, made new friends, and slowly started to feel like myself again. Then, out of the blue, Michael called with shocking news. Emily, you might want to sit down for this. Jason's been arrested, fraud charges. And your parents? They're not doing so hot. A twinge of guilt crept in, but I pushed it aside. Thanks for telling me, Michael. A week later, while sipping coffee at my favorite cafe, I heard familiar voices. I looked up to see Mom and Dad, looking older and more tired than I remembered. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my heart racing. Dad spoke first. We came to apologize." "I'm listening." "We were wrong, Emily. So wrong. We never should have enabled Jason like that." "No, you shouldn't have," I interjected. Dad continued. "We failed you, Emily. Can you ever forgive us?" I took a deep breath. "I don't hate you, but I can't pretend everything's okay." Mom's eyes filled with tears. "We just want a chance to make things right." "I need time and space," I said firmly. "I hope you can respect that." As I walked away, I heard Dad call out, "We're proud of you, Emily. We should have said that a long time ago." I didn't turn back, but I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. For the first time in years, I felt truly free. Whatever came next, I knew I could handle it. After all, I was Emily Parker, and I was done living in anyone's shadow. The story of Emily Parker and her family's turmoil had reached its conclusion. Now, I have a question for you. If you were in Emily's shoes, would you have exposed Jason's schemes, knowing it could tear your family apart? Or would you have chosen to keep the peace, even at your own expense? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hey there, I'm Olivia Chen, 32, and I've been thriving in the marketing world for years. On paper, life looks perfect. I've got a great career and a wonderful husband, Michael. But let me tell you, it's far from rainbows and butterflies when it comes to his family. It all started 5 years ago when Michael and I got married. At first, I thought I hit the in-law jackpot. His parents, Robert and Linda, seemed cool, and his sister, Emma. We were like best friends. At least, that's what I thought. "Olivia, darling, that dress looks so cute on you," Emma had said at our first family dinner. I should have picked up on the condescending tone, but I was too busy trying to impress everyone. Fast forward to now, and every family gathering feels like walking on eggshells. Emma always has something to say, whether it's about my job, my cooking, or even the way I breathe. Last Thanksgiving, after I spent hours preparing the turkey, she took one bite and said, "Oh, interesting. I guess not everyone can be a master chef." I wanted to stuff her face into the mashed potatoes. Michael tries to play peacemaker, but he's stuck in the middle. "Babe, you know Emma doesn't mean anything by it," he'd say, as if that excused her constant jabs. The worst part, Robert and Linda hang on to Emma's every word like it's gospel. It's like they've forgotten how to think for themselves. Michael would try to proudly share my achievements, like when I got promoted, but it always ended with Linda brushing it off, saying, "That's nice, dear," before pivoting to Emma's latest charity work, as if she were a saint. I've tried everything to win them over. Fancy dinners, thoughtful gifts, even offering to babysit Emma's kids. Nothing works. It's like trying to nail Jell-O to a wall. And just last week, I overheard Emma on the phone saying, "I don't know what Michael sees in her. She's so ordinary." Ordinary? Me? I've built my career from the ground up. But to them, I might as well be invisible. Now, here I am, getting ready for yet another family dinner, hoping against hope that this time will be different. But deep down, I know better. Emma's probably sharpening her claws as we speak. "You okay, hun?" Michael asks, wrapping his arms around me as I chop vegetables. "Yeah, just peachy," I lie, forcing a smile. The doorbell rings. Chow time. I plaster on my best fake grin and open the door. "Oh, Olivia, you look rested," Linda says, her eyes scanning me up and down. Then, cornering me by the fridge, she adds, "Emma tells me you're still at that little marketing firm. How stable?" I force a smile. "Actually, we just landed a major account. It's been pretty exciting." "Oh, that's nice, dear," she replies absent-mindedly. "Did you hear about Emma's promotion?" "Vice President of Sales, of course. She's amazing." Dinner finally starts, and I'm holding my breath as they take their first bites. Michael, ever the supportive husband, says, "This is delicious, babe." He gives me a wink, and for a moment, I relax. Maybe this won't be so bad. Then Emma takes a bite. Her face scrunches up in exaggerated confusion. "Oh, interesting flavor. Is that nutmeg?" "No, it's rosemary," I reply, my smile faltering. "Ah," she says, pushing the food around her plate. "It's different." I'm about to defend myself when Emma suddenly clutches her stomach. "Oh God," she groans. "I don't feel so good." And just like that, all hell breaks loose. "What's wrong?" Linda asks, her voice rising in panic. My stomach, Emma moans, "It's like I've been poisoned or something." All eyes turn to me. I feel my blood run cold. Poisoned. I sputter. That's ridiculous. We're all eating the same food. But then Robert starts looking pale, and James, Emma's husband, is running to the bathroom. "What did you put in the food, Olivia?" Linda demands, her voice shrill. "Nothing. Just normal ingredients." I protest, but the room's already turned on me. Michael's looking at me with doubt in his eyes, and it's like a knife to the heart. "Maybe we should call an ambulance," he suggests hesitantly. Emma's now writhing on the floor, milking the situation for all it's worth. "She did this on purpose," she wails. "She's always been jealous of me." "That's insane," I shout, but no one's listening. James is already on the phone with 911, and Linda's dramatically feigning Emma. "I think you should leave, Olivia," Robert says coldly. "We'll handle this." I look to Michael for support, but he's avoiding my gaze. "Maybe it's best if you go, babe," he mumbles, "just until we figure this out." Figure what out? I didn't do anything. But it's clear I'm not wanted. Grabbing my purse, I storm out, slamming the door behind me. As I sit in my car, shaking with anger and disbelief, I hear sirens in the distance. What the hell just happened? And how am I going to fix this mess? The days after that disaster felt like living in a nightmare. My phone was flooded with accusatory texts from Emma and the in-laws, each one more absurd than the last. "How could you? We trusted you." And Michael. He was walking on eggshells around me, like I might whip out a vial of poison at any moment. "Babe, maybe you made a mistake with the ingredients," he suggested one morning. I slammed my coffee mug down for what felt like the millionth time. I didn't poison anyone. But the damage was done. I was banned from family gatherings, uninvited from Christmas, completely erased from their lives overnight. I couldn't take it anymore. If they wouldn't believe me, I'd have to prove my innocence myself. First stop, the grocery store where I'd bought the ingredients. I grilled the poor cashier for 20 minutes, but nothing seemed off. Next, I started digging into Emma's past. Late nights hunched over my laptop revealed a disturbing pattern. Every time something good happened to me, Emma had some sort of crisis. My promotion, Emma's car accident the very next day, our wedding, Emma's sudden emergency appendectomy just before the ceremony. It was no coincidence anymore. I needed help, and I knew exactly who to call. "Lisa, it's Olivia. Remember that favor you owe me? Time to pay up." Lisa was an old college friend, now a private investigator, and she agreed to help me dig deeper into Emma's web of lies. We met over coffee. "Okay, spill it," Lisa said. "What's the deal with this sister-in-law from hell?" I laid it all out. The dinner, the accusations, everything. Lisa let out a low whistle. "Damn, girl, you've got yourself a regular soap opera here." We hatched a plan. Lisa would dig into Emma's finances and work history while I focused on piecing together what really happened that night. Days turned into weeks. I was running on coffee and sheer determination while Michael grew more distant. But I couldn't think about that now. I had to clear my name. Then, a breakthrough. Lisa called, excitement buzzing in her voice. "Olivia, you're not going to believe this. Emma's been cooking the books at her company for years. She's in deep financial trouble." My heart raced. That's great, but how does that help me? Think about it. She needed a distraction, something big to take the heat off her. What better than a family scandal? The pieces started to fall into place. I remembered something else from that disastrous dinner. Emma had arrived early, insisting on helping in the kitchen. At the time, I'd been too frazzled to question it, but now I knew she must have tampered with the food when I wasn't looking. "We need proof," Lisa said, her voice steady. "And we need it fast." Emma's lies were unraveling, but she didn't know it yet. We had to catch her off guard. Lisa and I spent hours planning our next move. One wrong step, and Emma would slip away again. "We need to set a trap," Lisa suggested, a glint in her eye. "Something she can't resist." As we plotted, I felt a mix of excitement and dread. This was my chance to expose Emma for who she really was. But what if it backfired? What if I lost Michael for good? I shoved the doubts aside. I'd come too far to back down now. Emma wanted to play dirty? Fine, two could play at that game. "Let's do this," I told Lisa, my voice steady. "It's time to take Emma down." The day of reckoning had finally arrived. We'd set everything in motion, and now all we could do was wait. My stomach churned with nerves, but I knew this was my only shot. We anonymously tipped off Emma's workplace about her fraudulent activities. It was risky but necessary to apply pressure from all sides. I parked down the street from Emma and James' house, heart pounding. Lisa was already in position, disguised as a delivery driver. "Package for Emma Wilson," I heard Lisa say through the earpiece we were using to communicate. I held my breath as I watched Emma step outside. Lisa accidentally dropped the package, spilling its contents, fake financial documents we had prepared to mirror her real crimes. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," Lisa said, scrambling to pick up the papers. Emma's face turned white as a sheet. "Give me those," she snapped, snatching the documents out of Lisa's hands. That's when James pulled into the driveway. Perfect timing. "What's going on?" he asked, walking toward them. Emma tried to hide the papers, stuffing them under her arm. "It's nothing," she muttered, clearly rattled. James eyed her suspiciously. "What are those?" Emma stammered, but before she could come up with a believable excuse, Lisa dropped the bombshell. "I think your wife might want to explain these financial discrepancies," Lisa said, smirking as she handed James one of the incriminating documents. Emma froze, her eyes wide with panic. The trap had been set, and now, it was only a matter of time before everything came crashing down. James caught a glimpse of the papers. "Are those bank statements, Emma? What's this about?" From where I sat, I could see the panic in Emma's eyes. She was cornered, and she knew it. "It's nothing, just some work stuff," she said quickly. But James wasn't buying it. He grabbed one of the papers, his eyes widening as he read. "Emma, these show transfers to offshore accounts. What the hell is going on?" Emma's facade finally cracked. "I can explain. It's not what it looks like." That's when Lisa, pretending to fumble with her phone, hit play. Loud enough for everyone to hear, Emma's voice rang out clearly. God, it was so easy. Slip a little ICAC in the food and boom, instant food poisoning. Olivia never saw it coming. James stumbled back as if he'd been punched. You framed Olivia? Why?" Emma was in full meltdown mode now. "The company was investigating me. I needed a distraction." That was my cue. I stepped out of my car and approached them. Emma's eyes bulged when she saw me. "You," she screeched, "you set me up." I stood my ground. "No, Emma, you set yourself up. I just made sure the truth came out." James looked between us, utterly shocked. "I can't believe this. All these years." Just then, Michael pulled up with his parents, Robert and Linda. They must have seen the commotion and called him. "What's going on here?" Linda demanded. I took a deep breath. This was it. Emma framed me for poisoning the family. She's been lying to all of you for years. Michael stared at his sister in disbelief. "Emma, is this true?" Emma broke down, confessing everything between sobs, the financial fraud, the lies, the elaborate scheme to frame me. It all came pouring out. Robert and Linda were stunned into silence, their faces a mix of shock and devastation. Michael looked like his whole world had been shattered. "Olivia," he said, turning to me, tears in his eyes, "I'm so sorry. I should have believed you." Part of me wanted to revel in the vindication, but mostly, I just felt tired. "It's okay," I said softly. "It's over now." As the police arrived and led Emma away, I looked at the family I tried so hard to be part of. They were broken, confused, and betrayed. Michael reached for my hand. Can we talk?" I nodded, knowing we had a long road ahead of us. But for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe again. The truth was out, and I was free. "Now, I have a question for you. If you were in my shoes, would you forgive Michael and his family for doubting you? Or would you cut ties with them completely? It's a tough call, isn't it? On one hand, they believed the worst about me without real proof. On the other, they were manipulated by Emma's elaborate scheme. Where do you draw the line between understanding and self-respect? Share your thoughts in the comments below.